Terence Crawford says the Errol Spence Jr. fight happened at the right time for him. Is that cap or big facts? What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Cardinal Red Sports. Let's talk about it. Alright, y'all. So, Terence Bud Crawford has been doing his, marathon of interviews after beating Errol Spence Jr. He recently had some interesting things to say about when the fight happened and how it benefited him. I wanted to break that down, give my 116 nickels on what Terence Crawford had to say for anybody listening.
I mean, it's always difficult, but, like I said, I don't make any excuses. The better man won tonight.
All right, y'all. So, Terence Crawford said that he feels like the Errol Spence Jr. fight happened at the perfect time for him. And I was just thinking, what does he mean by that? What does he mean by it happened at the perfect time for him or to him? Well, he gave an answer because the person who was interviewing him asked him that exact same question. What does that mean to him? And he said that he feels like if the fight would have happened earlier, that it wouldn't have sold well.
Because the moment you say, bitch, well, fuck you too.
And, I found that to be funny because we all know that there was a contract sent out to Terence Crawford last summer. So, by him saying that, I guess he feels like that if they would have made the fight last summer, for some reason it wouldn't have sold. Even though there was, so much more fanfare, I think, surrounding the fight last summer than there was this summer. And I think that if they would have actually did it last summer instead of this summer, it would have done numbers like the Gervonta Davis-Ryan Garcia fight.
I felt a little out physically, but most times I get through it. So, I thought it was going to be just like the other times, but, I couldn't kick it up a notch.
It did decent enough numbers, somewhere around 700,000 to 1 million buys, depending on who you ask. But I think it would have done somewhere around 1.5 million, maybe even 2 million if they would have done it last summer when it was at its peak.
Throw a punch that they haven't seen before. Say something that they've never heard. What they've never seen is us stick together.
It had hit a peak. And the one thing I remember hearing a lot of people say after, it got called off because of Terence Crawford, mind you, this was something that Terence Crawford did to make the fight not happen. It wasn't like Errol Spence said, well, I'm going to go fight Keith Thurman and the fight fell apart, or Errol Spence says, I don't feel like signing the contract right now and the fight. No, Terence Crawford went and got $10 million from David Evanzian and BLK Prime, and that took the fight apart, basically.
He's a strong dude, but, everybody at this top level have some type of power. But I think because my timer was out, he was catching me in between shots.
So it wasn't like there was something that was done purposely to both of those guys to make the fight happen. No, Terence Crawford saw a golden opportunity to get some extra money. He went after it. You can't really blame him. He got some free money, basically. The result of that was a lot of people were left with a bad taste in their mouth. The one thing, this is what I was getting at, the one thing I heard a lot of people say last summer after Crawford decided to fight Evanzian was, and I heard this from a lot of subscribers, I'm not paying for this fight now. Even when it happens, I don't want to pay for it now because they're not taking it seriously. They're not taking the fans seriously. And I heard that from so many people. And now that, the numbers are coming out and we're seeing that the fight didn't sell as well. It sold very well for a Terence Crawford fight, but around average for an Errol Spence fight.
I felt cool. I thought, I could definitely do enough to win the fight, but I felt good. And like I said, I'm not here to make any excuses. I'm a grown man. I decided to agree to the weight and get down to it, and that's what I did. So no excuses. Hats off to the champion tonight.
So, Terence Crawford did very well, so I'm not surprising to him. He feels like that everything was like perfect timing for him.
Gotcha, bitch.
Not to mention the fact he won the fight because of Errol Spence's issues that were going on with his training. It's almost like he hindered the fight from selling as well as it could have by making Errol Spence have to wait another year to actually put the fight together. So to me, it kind of seems like that a lot of this was pre-planned by Terence Crawford. Like, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, and these will be the outcomes. And if he planned it out that well and that strategic, I guess you could say, kudos to him because it all worked out in his favor.
I don't ever blame anyone for what their grandparents did. If you still believe in what your grandparents believed in and they weren't fair, then fuck you. But if you don't believe in something that was unfair, then we're like-minded.
It almost seems like, what a lot of other people have been saying, that Terence Crawford kind of set Errol Spence up. And I wouldn't say that Errol Spence is that stupid to fall for a setup, but it almost seems like Terence Crawford knew the longer he waits, the more likely he is to win, the more likely Errol Spence can't make weight, the more likely, the more terms they will capitulate to in the negotiation process. And I'd be damned if everything didn't work out in Terence Crawford's favor when it comes to that fight. Errol Spence kind of made grips with the fact he couldn't make weight. I think this is why he was so upset after everything fell apart last summer. I think he was right on the money with the weight. I think everything was looking up and up for him last summer, and sitting around for another year, these are the results we got of all that. Now, whether you think the fight would have sold a little better or, pretty much the same if they would have done it last year or not, I feel like that a lot of these things were dragged out on purpose to benefit Terence Crawford. To be all the way honest, I think Errol Spence just kind of was at the point to where he was like, you know what? I bow out of all this because I don't have time to sit around 147 anymore and try to make things work for another fighter. He did that. He got beat. I think we're going to see a totally different fight at 154 than we did at 147. It's going to take time to get there and have all that hashed out. But I think that most definitely you're going to see a totally different version of Errol Spence whenever the rematch is officially announced. Terence Crawford, you got that one. You got that one up.
Bitch, I owe you one.
But there's always the rematch.
I'm asking you as a favor not to go through with this.
You think I'm hurting you?
Yeah, in a way you are. Don't you care what people think? Doesn't it bother you that people are making you out to be a joke? Do you think that's right?
You stop being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. And I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that and that ain't you. You're better than that.
Y'all let me know what y'all think about all that down in the comment section below. Hit that like button for me, share, subscribe. Holler at me on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. More than likely to get a response on the tube, so holler at me over there. If you want to collabo, feature a product or your channel on my channel, feel free to hit my Gmail because it is a flock of cards at gmail.com. And we are mad.
In the middle of the summer when it's hot as a beach. Out of winter time when the snow drops on the street. You see me outside like holla at me. I got them hot CDs, $5 a piece. Them niggas don't bother with me. Lions say they broke, hold on to they cheese. Walk into the store, get a wax CD with 25 songs just to play track 3. But don't get me twisted. I know some niggas got no business spitting. Make it hard for me trying to get my chips when niggas won't even listen. But check it though. I know the game's off track, but me and my clique finna change all that. You never heard a track when I came off whack, and your dame's off fat. But he's local, tell me why you hating on me. He's local, tell me why you hating on me. He's local, tell me why you hating on me. He's local, niggas crowd. Why you hating on me? Niggas local, that's why they hating on me. He's local, that's why they hating on me. He's local, that's why they hating on me. He's local. Feel niggas hate local music, but yet and still I promote the music. A hard-headed nigga couldn't coach me through shit. I thought they wouldn't hate, my approach is too sick. Motion music, promote the movement. They play it in the crowd and they both is moving. The chicks and G's bumping their head instantly. It never made no sense to me how a nigga gotta leave the Ville just to receive a deal. I need the bills, so if I gotta leave I will. But I'd rather stay, let them see the skills. Shoot a video, let them see the bill. Do a couple scenes on 18th and Hill. Now open up wide, let them see your grill. That boy Keith is for real. But he's local. Tell me why you hating on me. He's local. Tell me why you hating on me. He's local. Tell me why you hating on me. He's local.
What the fuck is a Lewis name?
He's local. That's why they hating on me.
What's his beat is crap.